Formula D is a board game that recreates Formula racing. It was designed by Randall and Laurent Lavaur and was originally published by Ludodélire. The rights to the game passed to Eurogames with the collapse of Ludodélire, who in turn were acquired by Asmodee Editions. When Asmodee released their new edition, the name was Formula D and the rules were updated to include street import racing. Object of the game. The game is about automobile racing, formerly with an emphasis on Formula 1. The object of the game is to cross the finish line first and win the race. Races can be anywhere from 1 to 3 laps long. Formula D comes with a game board measuring 100 x 70 centimeters, 7 specialized dice, 20 plastic race cars, and 10 dashboard indicators that track the car's current gear and condition throughout the 1, 2, or 3 lap races. The game has 7 dice. There are 6 colored dice that are used to simulate specific gears, and a black D20 used for collisions and other course events. Each of the dice represents a gear shift. The D4 is used for first gear, the D6 for second gear, and so on. Each die has a series of numbers representing the number of spaces the F1 cars move. The black die is a D20 and used for determining collisions, engine wear during 5th and 6th gears, pit stop speed, pole position, and whether or not at the beginning of the first lap you stalled, or had a flying start. If you are playing with the advanced rules, you can set up weather conditions with the black die. Gameplay. Each player takes a dashboard for his car, which tracks damage to different parts of their car's systems. If any system is damaged too far, his car is eliminated from the race, and he is out of the game. In the rules for beginners included alongside rules for advanced players in the Asmodee edition. The wear points are simplified to a single pool of 18, to go with simplified race rules. The advanced Asmodee rules are almost identical to the rules from previous editions with some minor fixes implemented. On any given player's turn, he is required to choose which gear he wants his car to be in. The chosen gear may be only one higher than the previous turn's gear, or maybe one lower with no penalty. He may also select a gear 2, 3, or 4 lower, but this gear crashing causes damage to several car systems depending on how many gears were skipped. Having selected a gear, the player must roll the appropriate die for that gear. The colored dice vary not only in number of sides but also in the range of numbers represented. The player must then move his car a number of spaces equal to the roll. However, the squares making up each corner on the racetrack are colored differently from other squares, marked with a flag indicating a number. If the number is 1, the player must arrange to end his turn inside the colored area. If the number is 2, the player must end 2 turns inside the colored area, and so on. If a player fails to end the required number of turns inside the colored area, he suffers a penalty, which may range from damage to the car's tires or brakes to immediate elimination of the car in the case where more than one turn ending was skipped. Since the player is obliged to move the full distance rolled on the dice, the core aim of the game is to time and carefully manage gear changes to ensure that turns end at the required points while not requiring the player to set his gear too low and waste time speeding up again after the corner. Players may also wish to accept some damage to their tires in order to outpace rivals. The Asmodee Edition's road race rules add elements such as nitrous oxide, damaged pavement, and disgruntled citizens to the game. Each street race also has elements specific to it, such as the police station of Race City spin-offs and expansions. Along with the 2 circuits that come with the main game, additional boards with different circuits on them were available. The additional circuits are purely expansion sets. You need a main board game to use them. There are usually 2 circuits per package. Ludodélire produce 14 race circuits. The first 13 were color boards. The last was a black and white paper circuit included in a boxed expansion. Which one of the 13 color circuits was included in the boxed game depended on what country it was purchased in. A Ludodélire approved tournament player group produced the sanctioned ASPIFD championship kit, which included 10 black and white paper tracks. Eurogames. After the rights to the game passed to Eurogames, the game was published with the same 2 circuits included in all box sets. Eurogames reprinted the remaining 11 color circuits and went on to print a further 22 new ones before their acquisition by Asmodee. Formula DE Acute. Mini. Formula DE Acute Mini is a simplified version of the original game, similar to the rules for beginners of the Asmodee edition, that reduces the card's statistics to 1 pool of wear points, instead of the original game's 6. The 2 race circuits are also half the size of the original ones, and are imaginary layouts as opposed to real-world circuits. This version can also use the expansion tracks for any edition of the game. Asmodee. The boards produced by Asmodee are double-sided, with a traditional Formula 1 race circuit on one side, and an urban street race on the other. Mini expansions. A promotional extra driver car, Gasolina Santana with a yellow Porsche, was given away with the first shipment of the main boxed game. Variant rules. One criticism of the game is that a single square of movement rolled can make a significant difference. The standard case of this is that a roll that leaves the player ending a turn on the first square of a corner area is the best possible result, as he can then begin accelerating again immediately, whereas had the roll been one value lower, the car would have stopped just outside the corner area, which is the worst possible result as the player must ensure that his entire next move fits within the corner area. Some authors have proposed variant rules to correct this, but they usually succeed only at moving the problem to a different roll value. Redlining or slipping the clutch. One variant rule, in response to the above criticism, is redlining or slipping the clutch once per turn. Any driver may add 1 space to his roll by slipping the clutch. To do this, he must spend 1 engine point. When spending this point, the car does not leave a debris counter. Doubled straights. A popular house rule is doubled straights, where each space on a straight requires 2 squares of movement to pass rather than 1. On some circuits especially, this encourages the use of high gears and makes the tactical timing for dealing with the corners even more important. It is very useful in adding elevation and slopage to a section of roadway. Reception. John Kovalik comments, aerodynamic as a Lamborghini, the mechanics behind Formula DE Acute are what let it break away from the pack of so-so speedway games. More than just another racing simulation, the game has become a hobby market marvel in its own right. Indeed, after a decade and a half in the stores, it's remained as captivating as when it was first introduced in popular culture. Formula D was played by Will Wheaton, Grace Helberg, Greg Benson, and Hannah Hart in the second season of Tabletop.